Art, how long have you been coming here?
Forever.
I mean, and just watching him grow, and his talent grow, and the ease by which he does what he does now, and how he's so much a part of what we do is what we're all about here at Unity. Providing a place and time and space for our children to enter into these teachings while they're young, so they can have them embodied as they grow older and have a teaching to fall back upon. What a great gift it is, don't you think? Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all? Who might you say is the fairest of them all? We're dealing with relationships. We're dealing with that thing that everybody brings into every relationship they have with flesh on. Today's story is called Embracing Narcissus. Narcissus is a Greek mythology of a being who is young and has long blonde hair and zero body fat. And he is so enamored by his own reflection in the pool, he falls into it and he drowns. He just can't stop looking at himself. I have a personal relationship with Narcissus, and so do you. Many times Maureen has said to me, "You're looking at yourself in my sunglasses." And I say, "No, I'm not. Yes, you are. No, I'm not. Yes, you are." And we go back and forth for a half hour about that. And the truth is, we're all looking at this mirror reflection of ourselves. And the journey towards awakening is not rejection of what you see, but a really looking at what you're looking at. To know that the moment we had the idea of separate from unconditional love, isness and suchness, the moment we walked into our personality and became a body, we began feeding energy into and out of this mirror reflection of ourself. There's no way to get to the deeper level of being without willing to bring awareness to what you keep staring at and making real and feeling threatened by. To develop a relationship with this part of yourself is huge. Ego actually means I am, but I in the Latin. But I am not in the sense of I am that I am with Moses, but that sense of I am this, I am that, I want him, I want her, I want this. It's that thing that we identify with, and everybody here comes with that. So when you meet anyone, remember you're meeting their own narcissistic self. It's gonna come up. So the important thing about dealing with narcissism is to become friendly with that part of yourself. Narcissist gets a bad rap in psychology. It should be killed. It should be ignored. Oh, you should look at yourself. You should look away from yourself. If you're a spiritual person, the E must go. The E must go. All the yogis that came over in the 70s, E must go. Got egg all over their beard. As soon as they faced our American culture and our obsession with our own reflection, they too got lost. They weren't willing yet. We need to be willing, even now, to look at this reflection and see it for what it is. And embrace Narcissus, not reject him, not judge him harshly. It's our creation. We made this little separate self up. It's just an illusion. It's just a concept. It's just an idea. But until we embrace it and see it for what it is, it keeps ruling our time here. Until you can embrace that narcissistic part of you, you will not be able to embrace it in others. All trouble in relationships come when we're not willing to go deeper below the surface than what we're seeing with our physical eyes. That's called embracing and being loving and kind to yourself. Not being afraid of doing that. And not getting lost in rejecting that thing that you spend most of your time staring at. And then we get to go below the surface. You know, when you're looking in a pond, you guys ever looked in water when it's very clear? When you touch it, what happens? You don't, all of a sudden you don't see the reflection anymore. The work with our spiritual teachings is to go deeper and dive deeper into what lies right beneath the surface of Narcissus. I remember when I was a kid, and Maureen told me to make a correction here. I wasn't able to hold my breath for 4 minutes. She said probably not more than 2. I'm going to say 3. I used to swim a lot when I was a kid. And I used to love to go into the pool. And I would go all the way down to the bottom. I would lay down on the bottom of the pool like this. And I would just look up and I'd see all these people floating and swimming above me and splashing around. And I'd be down at the bottom of this energy. And somehow, at 6 or 7 or 8 years old, whatever it was I had this feeling that I belonged in that water. That there was something deeper to me than just splashing around on the surface level. I didn't have any words for what it was or teaching yet, but I just had this feeling that there was more to me than met the eye. I also remember when I was a little kid, 5 and 6 years old, at 11 Moody Lane, when I would sleep at night, I'd feel like a crane was lifting my something spirit body out of my body, and I would look down and I'd see Richard in bed. I'd see my mom in her bedroom. I'd see my 2 sisters in theirs, and Chi-Chi the Chihuahua in her bed. And somehow I was that, but I was also something watching that. And the spiritual work allows us to get that little glimpse to who we are beyond who we appear to be. But you gotta love who you are. You gotta love it. Because you can't experience and embrace the love of God until you're willing to embrace the self that you made up. Because it's one God. Hear, O Israel, you gotta love this thing you made up. Don't give in to it, don't go every whim with it, but love it. There I am again, doing that again. Oh, I know that part of me really well. It's who I believe myself to be, and everyone else believes themselves to be as well. You gotta first be a somebody before you can be a nobody, and then go to the bottom of the depth of your being and be everybody. So kids, you love yourself because God loves you. And know that you are deserving and worthy of that love. So when you look in the mirror and you smile and say, look at me, I love myself, keep doing that, because it gets harder as you get older. As you get filled with ideas about what you're supposed to look like, rather than just loving what you're seeing. So love who you are. You're beautiful beyond measure. You are gorgeous just the way you are. So when you meet anyone in a relationship, Narcissus and narcissism is going to come up. You're going to meet that and greet that in somebody else. It is a concept and an idea, but while we're here, we take this concept and this idea very personally and very literally, don't we? There's a story I want to share with you in that, where's my little Buddha book? I think it's over there underneath you. There it is. That really speaks to this. And it's the analogy of this particular chair right here. And this is actually a book called Coffee with Buddha. I wish I'd thought of a title for that one. And this woman is having this conversation with the deeper well of her own being in the form of Buddha or Christ mind, however you want to talk about it. And she says, as she's talking about a chair, this chair she has. Well, I've got this antique chair. It has been in my family for generations. It has. I'm expected to pass this chair on to my heirs. So I just can't say to it, I'll enjoy it now and not take care of it. Well, what if it falls apart? And the Buddha, Christ mind, says, is it really the chair you're holding on to? What makes it so special? Is it the legs? Is it the arms? How about the upholstery? Well, jeez, gosh, it's special because it's a family heirloom. Well, where do you see that part on the chair? Point to the family heirloom part of the chair. Where is it? Do you see it? Where is it? Don't be silly, she says. Of course there's no family heirloom part. That's just something I know. So family heirloom is merely a concept, an idea that you have about the chair. You're taking care of an idea. Bingo, presto, change-o. We're going deep now. I guess so, you put it that way. It seems absurd. So whether you polish the chair and give it to your nephew or to your kids, or you burn it up for firewood is incidental. What you're attached to is the notion of family obligation. Apart from that, what is the chair? Well, it's a nice place to sit, yes, it's very comfortable. But no matter how lovingly you might care for the chair or treat the chair, it could disappear at any one moment, yes? Your idea about it's impermanent. An earthquake could come, a big tornado could come. What if the terrible fire came through your home and it burnt the chair to an ash? Would you still feel the same way about it? Now you're being questioned now. How do you answer? Of course not. It wouldn't be a chair anymore. Here's the wisdom. But aren't those ashes just the chair in another form? Do you see how readily you let go of the chair when it no longer conforms with the concept of family heirloom? Do you see, it's just a concept. It's an idea that we have of ourselves. It's our family heirloom. It's in our inheritance that comes to us. Every one of us comes with our own family heirloom. Everyone does. Every relationship that you meet someone's family heirloom. It always comes up. So Maureen's family heirloom at 22 years old when we met, the reflection she'd been staring at for a long time was the idea that I am the oldest of 11 brothers and sisters. So I take care of things. I get IT done. That's Maureen. That's her family heirloom. That's what she brings and brought into our relationship together. And when she was asked to leave home early, having a birth of a child early, she went and took care of that. When I met Maureen, she was working 2 jobs. She was taking care and raising my oldest daughter, Maura, who I adopted later, and she was a woman who actually didn't need to be with me to be complete. Is that amazing? Here was someone who was complete without me. How could that be? You know everyone needs to be with me. She was already complete, didn't need to be completed or finished up by her relationship with me. I was intrigued by someone who'd gotten this far so far without me. My mirror image and reflection was the only grandson. Mirror, mirror, the inheritance of the Dora May Company. Ooh, boats and yachts and Rolex watches. Mirror, mirror on the wall, I will have more money than them all. That was my family heirloom, yes? That was what I kept staring at. And then what happened? I didn't get the money. Well, how insulting. It was supposed to. And there goes another family heirloom, another idea and another concept that was just an idea. Just an idea. And I remember when Maureen first really challenged that family heirloom in her own life. She'd gone for a year of meditating at Vipassana retreats. Remember when Mom went? We thought we'd lost her. She went on a 10-day, a 7-day, a 10-day, a 7-day, and then a 30-day retreat. And what she found was herself. She went to the pool and looked deep down this well. At the bottom of the well, staring back up, was her father, who said, "You will never be good enough. You'll never be happy. You're just like me." She saw that. She saw it for the first time. She saw it, and she touched it, and it disintegrated, and she dropped into something much, much, much deeper and realer. And when she came home, she was different. Still the same person, still getting lost in her own mirrored reflection as we always do, but never taking it quite as seriously anymore. And in her doing that, in my relationship with me, finally owning what her bottom line issue and tissue had been, and not being deluded by it, she connected to something deeper. And then I got permission to look at my issue and tissue as well. You see, when you do this work on yourself, you're doing it for all beings everywhere. If you're really willing to take a deep look at what you've been staring at, great freedom comes. I'd like to tell you that you only need to do this once and you'd have it. I wish it was so, but it keeps waking up every morning and it wants to delude you. It wants you to get caught and believe you're only what you're staring at. Well, I know it's a concept. I know it's an idea. I know it's just an ego. I know it's just Narcissus. And the truth is, it keeps hooking us. I was a
up in my office at Seattle Unity with a very famous speaker coming to speak at our church, who's written all the books that you've read, a very famous author. And I'd seen her 1 year before that. We had a 700-seat sanctuary, and the place was packed, waiting for her to come, and I was going to introduce her. And I was sitting with her, and I was just saying, "You look tired." And she looked at me and said, "I look tired." "Well, what do you mean, I look tired? You mean I don't look good? Is something wrong with how I look?" And she pulled a mirror out, and she began to trim herself and pull things up and tuck it down. And I went, no, darling sweetheart. You look tired, but you look gorgeous and marvelous. You're the prettiest 58-year-old, marvelous-looking woman I have ever seen. Darling, you look good. But you see how fragile the ego is? That's the relationship that we have with ourselves. To not take it so seriously, to see it for what it is, to sit with it, to embrace it, to love it, to be kind when it shows back up and makes faces at you. And when you begin to see that mirror reflection of what you think you are, you realize you're much more than that. You go much deeper than what's reflecting back at you. And then what happens is, a light goes on. And you really get to see what you haven't been looking at. And you go, "Oh, this is just a family heirloom. It's looking more like Alvin every day. My father and my mother. Yeah, it's just me. This is me who I think I am. But I'm much deeper than that. And on a really good day, you turn out the magnifying glass and like, whoa, what is going on? My eyes are red, I've got pock marks. I thought I got rid of that spot on my nose, that gum I took for 6 months, and look at my teeth and my neck. What is going on? I am not this body. I am not this flesh and blood. I am much more than what I appear to be in the mirror. And that's not a curse. That's good news. You're on your way home. You will not be fooled by it when it gets older, deteriorates, falls apart, when you're not as cute as you used to be. Yeah, you begin to see, I am that I am is much deeper than what I'm believing myself to be. But there's no way to get to the deeper self until you love the self that you're already in. Because it's the same God. You can't receive from God what you're not willing to first give to yourself. This is a constant practice. So when you meet anyone and they show the mirror back up to your face, don't be fooled by the illusion. Touch it just a little bit and go deeper into the well of your being. Let's just go to a lesson summation. When the moon hits your eye, like my mirror reflection, it's a moment. When I am that I am became me, myself, and I, we began to falsely identify with the image and likeness of the separate self, alone and isolated from the wholeness from which we come. Narcissus is the perfect analogy for the imagined self that each of us brings painfully to all our relationships. Narcissus is that part of the mind that thinks about itself constantly. Number 3, Narcissus is our own, this is a beautiful line, it is our own inner Christ child in disguise. We gave birth to her, to him, the moment we had the thought of separate. And it is we who must embrace this part of ourselves with loving kindness and compassion. When we accept Narcissus as a natural part of our human existence, we stop the war with ourselves and find peace in our relationships with others. And so we take our seat in our family inheritance, and we own what it is that we see when we look in the mirror, and we go deeper into the well of our being and find out there is an inheritance we've been withholding from ourselves. It comes from the beloved presence that loves you and cares about you, but it can't love you any more than you love yourself. So may you embrace all parts of your being. And allow the Spirit to kiss you gently on the side of the face and say, darling, sweetheart, my beloved, you look marvelous. Blessed be on your journey to awakening.